up, guys? I'm on I-85 hitting the highway. We got like an 8-hour long drive, but I'm documenting this trip because I think this is a pretty awesome story to tell. But at the Bitcoin 2023 conference in Miami, when I had our exhibit showcasing over there, there was a gentleman by the name of Daniel who came and checked out the exhibit and informed me that he was in one of the first documentaries for Bitcoin back in 2014 called The Rise and Rise of Bitcoin. So in that, he was mining in the basement with the world's first Bitcoin ASIC machine, the Avalon 1, and a pretty hated machine back in the day, the Butterfly Labs mini rig, which was actually not small, it was large, probably the largest one they made, and whopping $22,000 machine back in 2014. Super rare machine. Both of them are super rare. And he still has them collecting dust in that same basement from 10 years ago in Pennsylvania. I'm on the highway right now because he agreed to meet me at his old house up there. So I'm driving 8 hours to go see him to pick these machines up because he's donating them to the museum. So I'm pretty stoked about this trip. Obviously, I wouldn't be driving no 8 hours round trip, 16 hours round trip just to go pick up a couple of machines if it wasn't worth it. Good morning. So I'm somewhere in West Virginia. I drove last night till close to midnight until I couldn't drive no more because I got tired, and found out that this is the only hotel within 10 to 12 miles from where I was at. Some of the crap that I go through just to go get something that I don't have for the museum. I got most of all the easy stuff. I got most of all the common things, the semi rare things. I'm at the level of ultra rare, super rare, and this mini rig, for example, is one of them. Well, all this time I've been dealing with Butterfly Labs. I heard of the jalapeno, and I heard of the other machines they make, but I've never heard of the mini rig. So I'm on my way to go get it. I'm halfway on my trip to Pennsylvania. A little behind the scenes for you. Time to get the heck out of this nasty freaking room. Well, we just arrived up them stairs right there. My legs are fried. Hey, what's up, man? Kind of weird driving 8 hours just to come pick up some old machines, huh?
I'm glad I found someone who appreciates them. How you doing?
Roughly, almost exactly 10 years ago, history was made with the first documentary where Dan was down here using this barbecue pit, and then he went in the basement right here, and you'll see it in the documentary, where he was mining Bitcoin down there with the first Avalon 1 and the Butterfly mini rigs.
Guys?
Here we are a decade later. Do you remember using this barbecue pit 10 years ago?
Those burgers were undercooked.
And there they are.
So,
This is wild.
This is the remainder of the mini rig. You can see
Butterfly Labs mini rig.
I pulled these power supplies out, tried to use them for something else, but we can of course put them back in.
Back then, guys, this was $22,000 for one of these. And they were hated because they had a lot of complaints about them. So they actually didn't make a lot because they were too expensive and had issues.
And it was like the second gen. This is the first ASIC mini rig. The original ones, they put a bunch of the
FPGA, right?
And did those mini rigs. Butterfly Labs has a bad history. A lot of people got screwed over by them.
Well, this is the Butterfly Labs. What is that? The 60G?
This is the 60G. I got it kind of at the same time. I had
Yeah, I got
Butterfly
3 of
Labs
those in the
had done
museum.
This kind of queue where, like, depending on your order, when you ordered, is, you know, how early in line you got when they came off the production line. So people were kind of bidding for spots and trying to get early, but I had one of the very first spots, if not the first. I recall something in the top 5 or something when the mini rigs were coming out, and it was a race, you know, between them and Avalon and some other ones. I can't remember the names.
Yeah,
So,
Avalon actually won to market first.
and that's what we've got under here.
Yeah.
So here, this is one of the original Avalon Batch 1.
The person that made the chip in it, the 110 nanometer chips, is actually a woman named Chen Min.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, so it's actually a female that helped bring ASICs into this world. The other one was NG, that's one of the co-founders, who actually released and open sourced the software for Bitmain and everybody else to give birth. Like, if he didn't do that, you wouldn't have any competitors out there. They could have took the whole thing for themselves if they wanted to, but they open sourced it.
I interacted with him directly early on the Bitcoin Talk forums.
Oh, seriously?
So this is how I got introduced to Avalon, and why I decided to buy one is because I knew his team was behind it, the design originally, I think. And those were one of the first Bitcoin transactions I ever did. I was talking to him on the forums, and he was selling the Icarus FPGAs. So I sent him Bitcoin, and he sent me 4 of the Icarus FPGAs.
How many Bitcoin did you send for those?
I'm not going to tell you. And I was like, how did I just do a transaction with some guy in Beijing in his apartment? And I sent him currency or cryptocurrency, and he sent me back this equipment, and we just did a deal. Like, this is the future. This was the first time it felt like future money.
Yeah.
And it took me years to figure out later on that he was the guy who ended up founding, like, Canaan and everything. I'm like, oh, that's the anonymous person who I always, in my head, my story was like, you know, this random guy on the forums that I did a deal with, and like he's an industry titan in mining. So if he ever sees this, hello, nice to see you again, thank you. So this one was ordered. This was ordered from on Bitcoin Talk. I think there was the Batch 1 sale that was announced in a thread that Yifu was running. I think Yifu ran the thread, or one of the Avalon account ran the thread.
And the first batch, how many did they have in that first batch? Do you remember?
I don't remember how many there were total, but
I heard 250.
Yeah, I bought 2 of them. And so this is one of the 2. I sold them both years later, but I have no idea where the other one is or who I sold it to. I know I sold them both to the same guy, and then he sold one of them to somebody else. But he still had this one, and a couple years later, when it was collecting dust at his place, I actually bought it back from him just for sentimental value, kind of, because I thought, well, maybe someday I'll meet someone like you who values this, and we'll put it somewhere in a museum of some sort. So when I see a Bitcoin mining museum, I'm like, okay, this is awesome.
And they had the antenna back then, so you actually did it through Wi-Fi, not direct cable.
Through Wi-Fi. I think I probably used direct cable at some point.
All right, you ready to give her a new home?
I'm ready to give her a new home.
In such great shape, too. Well, you did a good job forgetting about it here. Daniel here is going to honor the Bitcoin Mining Museum, not just with donating this machine, but also autographing it, since this was the actual machine used in the documentary. Very cool. All right. Let's get this. I don't know, why do they call it a mini rig when it's the biggest thing that they ever made? So when you first plugged this one in, you remember the first payout for this?
Yeah, so when I had this, I had 3 of these. And when I first plugged them in, it was, that big race to be the first to get them in. But when I had them all plugged in, at one point, I had something like 1% of the Bitcoin hash rate for about 36 hours or something.
For the whole world?
Just for that very brief period of time, that hash rate chart, as long as I can remember, has always been a hockey stick. 2013,
is that why they call it a hockey stick? Because it just went straight up?
It's like a hockey stick. It's always been that way. When CPUs went to GPUs, it went to this hockey stick. GPUs to ASICs, and then ASICs doubled and tripled and quadrupled in hash rate. And you look at times, and it's always just this insane growth.
All right, now Danny's gonna sign this mini rig from Butterfly Labs. Also used in the documentary, The Rise and Rise of Bitcoin.
All right, sir. Thank you
It
so
was a
much.
pleasure.
This is great. Yep.
Thank you so much, Dan.
Have a safe trip back, and glad the miners
I'm gonna take
will have
I'm gonna take care of your babies that are back
Yes,
there.
sir.
Time to go back to North Carolina. Another 8 hours back home now. I think that's the biggest American flag in North Carolina right there. But you guys see all that traffic on the other side? Everybody's heading to the mountains and the lakes. But I made it back to North Carolina. Left yesterday afternoon from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Made it down to Somersville, West Virginia. And found myself a hotel room down there. Got some food and some rest. And continued on my second leg this morning. So now I'm just about less than an hour away from home. Shout out to Dan for contributing to the Bitcoin Mining Museum with these awesome ultra rare machines that I got in the back of this truck. But yeah, I just wanted to take you guys on this journey with me for you to see the extent that I go through sometimes just to find some of these and bring them in safe, because I do not trust UPS or FedEx or any one of these shipping companies to mess with something that's literally irreplaceable. You know, a lot of these machines, they only made a couple of hundred of them back in 2013. Many of them are already thrown away, broken or lost, so there's not many left. It's pretty awesome to know that I have found some of these ultra rare beauties. So when I get home, I'm gonna find some time to clean these things up, straighten them out, get them ready for the exhibit. And the next conference is Mining Disrupt down in Miami. I think it's July 24th to the 27th. But I'll be bringing the entire exhibit down there and showing you guys machines that I did not have last year. For those of you that have not seen it yet, come check us out. It's pretty cool to see the entire backbone of Bitcoin all in one location. So yeah, thank you for riding on this journey with me. I appreciate y'all, and I'll do this again if I have another cool trip coming up. Later, y'all. Thanks.